Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes of the September 5th and 25th meetings look very good. Any questions? None? Thank you very much. Moving right along. Okay, if you have any errors or corrections, just file them with the secretary. Thank you.
She won't listen to me.
No, nothing to do there. Treasurer. Treasurer's still working. Okay, old business. Covered California tabling. We are looking now at doing a change up. We're doing it at 2nd Street in front of the Chase Bank on Sunday. I will set up at 9 and work till 11. I've got Duvali. I've got Dudamel tickets. Duvali takes over at 11 and he'll shut down at 2. We'll get the word out to others to join us, okay?
I volunteered to take
Is that permanent?
On Sunday?
This is just this week, we'll worry about next week. We'll see how it goes. The farmer's market was 95 degrees, which hurt us, and our location hurt us, and we had no signage. We now have.
Yeah.
But hey, I have to say something. It was actually it was a joy to be back out there again.
Yeah.
After almost being a year, since
We
we've been
kind
out
of missed
there.
it, yeah.
Yeah, I actually personally I really did miss it. being
No
out
Greens,
there.
no Republicans.
Yeah, God, the Wingnuts weren't there, and our
Oh, that's
green
good
friends
enough.
weren't out there. But it was nice to be sitting out there and socializing with all y'all. And
We had 6
People walking
volunteers.
by.
I didn't know you girls were gonna be at Los Alamitos for
And we had we had a lot of people.
You gotta read your email.
We had quite a few.
Come on in,
people-
don't ring the bell, come on in.
We had quite a few people walk up, and I think they're kind of
Attack y'all.
the tinfoil hat wearer. And 2 people actually came up to us and said this Agenda 21 within the UN.
Oh, yeah.
So I've not had
Come on up here, Peggy.
Come on up.
Hey, you guys.
Eddie,
Hi,
there's.
guys.
I've not had the
Move over.
Well, I just want to say something about this Sunday's tabling. I'll form an email, I'll send it to Stuart, he can put the 411 on our calendar, and I'll also send the email out to our master list, so that people can sign up, and I'll put your phone number on, so people can call you and say, yes, I will be there. Because if you don't get enough people to table, if it's just you two, then you're not gonna do it, okay?
We're still gonna do it, but it won't be as good.
It's on 2nd Street, we're 2nd and what?
It's right in front of the
Chase Bank.
Chase Bank, our old stomping ground. It's
Nieto.
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 Yeah, just across street.
Yeah, I think it's Sweet Chills or something, bakery.
Yeah, sweet
This is me.
It's right across from
But thank
Nunca.
you that there you go.
But
oh, she moved down the road. Yeah.
It's on the corner of
Chase
Walk.
Bank.
It's on the corner of Walk and Don't Walk.
Yeah, right. Always used to smell so good.
And
Oh yeah.
one more thing about tabling, I just want to say that on first Friday, Bixby Knolls, it was awesome. It was just like old times. The Health Care Act, okay, the Affordable Care Act is something that obviously this club can rally around.
All right.
You know, I was complaining that we didn't have no election, we can't get people interested, blah, blah, blah. This gets people interested, okay? Handing out information, being excited about the Affordable Care Act, rolling it out at a time when the government is being shut down by the Republicans. This is a good thing for our party and for our club. So, you know, I'm hoping that by having a banner, by having the branding, that Obamacare's little logo where it says, "We like Obamacare," I'm gonna have buttons on the table that we will ask people, if they wanna have them, give us a $1 donation, okay? We're going to try to get people excited about this.
I will
We
tell you,
have brochures in different languages for people. We're going to be branching out. I'm gonna talk to the people at the United Universal Cambodian something on Anaheim Street between Joe Jost and MacArthur Park and say to them, when is a good time for us to come out once a month and table and outreach to your community? They probably already do this, I don't know. And say to them that we have information on the Affordable Care Act, which is on their Facebook page, that's how I got their information. And try to reach out to these other neighborhoods, okay? Because yeah, 2nd Street is friendly to us and all that, and there are young people that are working that need to be enrolled into healthcare, but we also need to reach out to other communities.
it's real important, if anybody knows someone who speaks Khmer, Spanish, okay, any number of like 193 languages.
Yeah.
But here in Long Beach, Khmer is so important, okay? And Spanish, obviously. And if we have people and the lit, because the Cover California people will provide the lit in all the languages, okay? They will. But we have to have people who can help staff it. You can't do it alone. You know, I know you guys know just a little personal story. I'm now working at IDA or medical group expansion. I'm going into the Korean community with a Korean speaker. Okay.
Wow.
Because I can't do it alone. He's 23 years old, he's an intern, and he's working with us, okay? And it's really important, we can find folks who will help do that, that would make it really important. I do want to make a quick thing, kind of ahead of the report, but this button, I was wearing this the night before last at the county committee.
When did we first make that, remember?
We made it, oh, yeah.
Back in 2010, I made this deal.
Maria did.
Maria, and I wore this,
Obama
Proudly.
cares.
and people would look up and say, where did you get that?
I know.
My friend Maria made it for me.
It's back.
Yeah, but we need, this is not to get this out. Then, I went from that event, it was in Hollywood, or in Wilshire. I went up to Hollywood for the OFA, or hi guys, organizing for Action fundraiser for John Carson. John Carson is the executive director nationally of Organize for Action, okay? I'm sorry Susan's not here because this is kind of important for her. But he looked at my lapel and said, "The hell did you get that button, man?" I mean, he didn't say that, but he was really impressed with the fact that, and I told him what we're doing. They said, we're unofficial, not quite navigators, because we're not licensed agents, we're not gonna sell a product, but we're gonna help people work through the process. And so that's what we need.
That's why I use the word navigate on the banner. Ask us for information about how to enroll or how to navigate the online marketplace. And we have our laptop that the club agreed to purchase to show people, look, you can get on, this is how you get on. So people aren't intimidated by anything.
As a formerly licensed agent, it's important we all understand the distinction. None of us, unless you tell me, I don't know. If you're not a licensed agent, you're not allowed to enroll anybody in anything.
That's actually not true.
Okay,
The
good.
fact of the matter is if anybody really did want to get into the weeds and say, yeah, I want to sit with somebody and take them through the whole process and sign them up, you have to go through training. And
Oh, yeah.
it's not going to be like an hour. It'll probably be pretty intensive because you've got to learn, like almost like an insurance agent would understand it.
But you wind up with a different qualification as a navigator, which is different than.
They're not using that so much in cover. I don't know if they're not using that navigator term so much in Cover California. It's more of the federal plan than ACA or healthcare.gov. They're using that term navigator,
Well, that's good to
but they're
know.
not using it so much in Cover California. But the key idea is you can just say, hey, I just want to tell people how exciting it is, and I can tell a story because I'm actually using it. So I can tell them what I was paying before and what I'm paying now.
But you cannot actually sign them up.
Well, what I'm saying is if anybody wants to, this, I really want to spend some time and learn about it, you could.
Oh, yes,
And
of course.
we can put you onto that program.
And that's the next
where you learn.
step. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're staying with him as
But if
as
you
a
just want to
friend,
do it like me, it's just say, hey, this is really exciting. I'm a self-employed person. I have, I used to pay this much for my insurance and now I'm paying only this much and
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
That's our
Cindy talked to a couple of people at the First Friday thing for about 20 minutes. And they came in kind of like, not so sure. After they got done talking with Cindy and hearing her story, they're like, yeah.
Yeah, the young,
So it makes a
the young
difference.
gal.
Can I make a request that, as I think Robeson said, that, or Maria, that, Cover California actually has documentation. When we set up like just with a little yes we can, like remember when with the Obamacare originally, when it was at the coffee shop. Remember we had that? That's where you
Oh, yeah,
first
we had
started?
the,
Oh, you mean to do like presentation
Not
and stuff?
presentation, but I would like
Oh, yes.
forum.
and
We sure could
for
do
an
that.
internal
At the
forum, yes we
library,
can.
at a
To
library.
educate, like for instance, everybody in this room, set it up, not a club meeting night, but just set it up, everybody wants to learn about it. And then, what I thought was brilliant about that, back in 2010 when it was first coming out, Yes We Can essentially informed Long Beach. And what happened was one person was given a certain,
We broke it down
Broke
into
it down.
the
It was
parts of
wonderful,
like I
yeah.
follow the small business
As a matter
owners
of fact,
and
what
each
you're
person.
talking about is covered in what you talked about on, I don't know if you guys read Cindy's email. She forwarded a copy of this agreement, this MOU
The MOU that we're gonna sign.
agreement, and I've highlighted, if you want to pass this around, you
Yeah,
can.
let's do that.
let me check this out.
I've highlighted the points where we can outreach to the community and what they specifically say we can do.
We can
But what I'd like to
And
have an internal,
having like a presentation like what Cristobal is
internally,
explaining,
with Yes We Can.
we can do that.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I'll give you an example of the problem. I got a call at about 8:45 this morning, or 7:45 this morning. I'm on my way to work. I don't recognize the number. I'm driving. guy says, I was at your table, I wanna thank you for your Christmas gift. I said, what? And, okay, so I started talking to him, he said, yeah, I talked to you and you were 6 or 7 of you at the farmer's market on Sunday, and I live in a high-rise in San Pedro, I'm 68 years old, and I have supplemental insurance, and I said, sir, let me stop you, right here. You're on Medicare, right? Yes, I'm on Medicare. You're not qualified to be, you're not qualified for Obamacare. Oh, well, he got very argumentative. You have to know what you're talking about, because you're gonna be hit with stuff
Oh, yeah,
from people who don't know, and it's complicated,
yeah.
very complicated. It's like when I talk to people in one-on-ones, and I say, all right, I've been doing this for 35 years. I used to be a licensed rep with agent with Blue Cross, and you have to actually say the right words for you to be in real trouble. And you can, not more than that, less important that you get in trouble with the licensing agency, if you impart good information. And that is, hi, oh, I want to join, and I look at the Health Net network, and there's only 2,700 doctors there, and Blue Cross has got 48,000. What should I do?
Yeah.
And you have to be careful, because your response automatically might be, well,
Yeah.
you figured it out for yourself, didn't you? But these are differentials, and they're gonna, and the problem is these are all moving targets. That was how the
That's why we
elephant.
should have a meeting with
Absolutely.
people.
Yes.
This was my suggestion before we even had the first Fridays, is that we needed to have a
Same.
meeting to talk about what are the key talking points, and
Yeah,
we
especially
shouldn't
the
get it over our
tablers.
heads. You know,
No.
basically, it's call the 1-800 number. Here's what happened to me.
That's-
I was able to save 50%. My deductible is now at 0 deductible.
That's the
I used to have
response.
a
Well, this
thousand.
Sunday, I didn't even know about Covered California, and Shana was sitting there, do you have healthcare? Do you have healthcare?
But the
And I was like,
response
I didn't even know what it was.
is, and we should
Covered
probably have the
California.
800. Here's the deal. You tell them to call Covered California. You tell them to go online. Oh, come on, let's
It's,
get our
it's
online.
more about the general ideas,
Yeah.
how great this legislation is for people. You know, if you're unemployed or
Right.
you're employed but you're not getting any health care, you know, there's a way for you now to have, I mean, it doesn't have, you don't have to get into the weeds. You can
Right.
keep it
Well,
on.
real quick. Yet, in theory, we actually can, at our table, have people sign up for Covered California. Because now, hold on,
Yeah,
we have a laptop,
yeah,
and we're gonna get Wi-Fi at our table. So we can have that bad boy on the webpage
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yes.
And
Well,
those
they
people
can do
can
it
come up and
themselves.
say, we're
That's
gonna
the
sign up.
idea.
and I think
Well,
we should encourage them to take them through, like the little thing,
Absolutely.
like how many people in your family, I mean, if they want to share that information, some people might not want to do that, but if they did, you could show them how easy it is.
Just direct them.
Our
Not that
role,
you're gonna-
our role is a conduit.
Right.
Our conduit of information. We want to embellish the conduit.
And that's what that paper is talking about. That's the agreement that we have with Covered California.
And we have handouts with the phone number too.
Their website, you've probably looked through it, has a ton of things to download and print out. I printed out some to bring to the First Friday thing. Dee Dee has printed out some that we can take to the Sunday tabling event. But by signing this agreement, agreeing to be their partner
Part
and
of the
outreach for them, we also have access to collateral materials that are already printed, yay.
On good paper,
On
good
good
stock,
paper, yeah.
and it won't cost us a penny word.
And it's
Yeah.
not
people are
just
printing.
like a handout. They have down here, lanyard cards, pop-up little tabletop poster things.
Oh, I like
And
the
how
pop-ups.
many you can order per person. So we're gonna put in an order and we're gonna see how that goes.
Yeah,
And
no, it's
I would like people, if you are tabling, take care of that stuff, okay? You're gonna get a lanyard with a little plastic pouch and it'll have a little card in it. And what you're doing is you're saying, ask me about Covered California,
Or Herbalife.
Or-
Alright, let's bring us back, we're really actually on target, because this is what we're supposed to be talking about.
But let me just,
Yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
thing to wrap it up is when you're at the tabling events, when you're sitting there talking to people and there's a lull, take the time to read the information yourself so you get it.
The last item of this part of the agenda was their banner, which Maria, we collaborated a little bit with Maria designed, isn't that beautiful? Look at that.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
And
we-
it's free!
Well, I mean, we could have really used that Sunday.
Sunday,
I'm glad we have it now, okay? Because, people don't understand that, oh, yes, we can, and there's a little sign.
Yeah.
So this is really cool. I don't
It's
like
super.
I wanna make it love, right? Anyway, but this is good, this is really good, this is a good start.
So when do you want to have a meeting to get people acclimated? So if they're gonna table, they're gonna feel more
Like
comfortable if they actually
Monday
talk
night
about
would
it.
be good. I'm teasing, as soon as possible.
Oh, I'm like, let me look at my calendar.
Well, that's why I propose it, because if you're not concrete, What do you think?
I don't know.
That's the 14th.
So the meeting would be to, please explain.
Just so that people get acclimated, if they say I want
It's
to table
Columbus
it, let's talk about the key
Go over
components
some of the
of the plan.
material, so.
The
that-
material, so
I'd be in on that
So
meeting
they're
the
not just
14th.
flying blind, I mean, we
It's like
kind
a
of.
teach-in kind
Yeah.
of.
Why don't you do it a week before on a Friday, such as you're gonna meet on a Friday evening for First Friday, make it a week before First Friday.
Someone must go out on Friday.
They're doing it on.
Friday.
Saturdays and Sundays as well.
Well, who had a meeting?
Oh, well,
No, seriously, what we wanna do, we'll probably do more than one of these, because this is a dynamic process, it will be changing. I think we should probably do this as soon as possible, and allow your people to kind of collaborate on a date, okay?
Okay, well, you were talking about personal stories. Maybe at this meeting where we get acclimated with this information, we can have a story.
Just come in, don't ring, please don't ring.
Maybe Stuart, you can videotape it. Maybe we could start, hi Gwen.
Gwen, how are
a
you?
library of instructional video.
Yeah. This is how it helped Cindy. This is how it helped.
We need a couple of days to, ahead of time to structure it, so we got the materials you need together, and we all need to look at. But I think it would be very helpful.
I don't know how long it's gonna take to.
Then
put it over.
we'll put out an email that says Monday, who can do it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that works, it's fine.
All right, Maria, you gonna take care of it?
Yes, I'll take care of
All right,
it.
thank you. So we get the banner. We made $20, so we're tabling money. We made $20.
Oh, we made money for the first time in months.
Low turnout, high money.
Oh, you're right.
Okay. So, any other business for the E-board?
Yes.
Okay, just let me give my monetary
Oh,
amount.
yeah, treasure, sorry.
Federal, we have $1,209 and 49
You
cents.
just got an email that says about 49 cents.
Yes. I was like, thank God our banker's on top of things. And our state is 514.28. And people notice that our federal has gone down a little. And
Sorry.
and I'll explain that during the general meeting, where our expenses were.
Okay, so we're gonna get a red and blue report. Don't ring the bell, come on in. So we're gonna wind up with that going on. Oh, it's you, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the E-board meeting.
And second,
All in favor?
Bye.
None? Okay, general membership meeting. Susan, I have an augmentation fee report from the OFA event last night, but please start.
Okay, well, tonight is, the Long Beach Dam Club is having a presentation on healthcare and, the OFA, I don't know who.
I'm sorry, speak up, please.
Tonight, coincidentally, the Long Beach Dam Club, their, focus is on, healthcare, the Affordable Care Act, and the, OFA presenter, I don't know if that's Greg or someone more, and someone else, so it would have been nice to get in there, but I would like us to keep in mind that OFA nationally is trying to really focus on Obamacare. Today was supposed to be a day of action tying in the shutdown and of Obamacare. Just as things go forward, right now getting started, but keep in mind just the larger organization, if there can be, if there are benefits for tie-ins there. Include, just as an example, this Sunday in Los Angeles, which is in our area specifically, and they probably wouldn't like everyone crashing, but it's an OFA group that is having, come learn about the Affordable Care Act and get your questions answered.
Oh, that would be good, actually.
You'll be set to help educate others, can also get involved at the end of the session in planning our outreach efforts, which is not the Long Beach chapter, but another one. It's at the Beverly Connection, Los Angeles, La Cienega Boulevard.
What day?
This Sunday, the 13th, 3:30 to 5.
I think that would be really good if someone,
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of town. so.
Is that email being forwarded to us?
This is on the events, OFA events.
Bill the
Could you
volunteer.
forward that to our
That
email?
specific,
Yeah,
Please,
because then
sure.
I will put it on the web and also send it out to other people.
but I would call the host and ask, since this is their chapter for, I think they're trying to work with their community and help outreach to their community. So if I could go, I'd love to go. I'd like to say,
it would be good for.
we're in
for
a
someone to-
parallel situation, OFA.
Okay.
The other thing is this, you may have gotten an email, next Saturday and additionally Sunday, but mostly Saturday, there's a climate camp OFA in Los Angeles that is supplemented by a benefactor organizing group.
Really?
I actually have this typed up for tonight and I can just whip them both off.
It's a camp, do we have tents that are rainproof?
In fact, that's part of the ecology aspect.
Okay,
First climate camp OFA happening right here. Training crash course in organizing to combat, so it's the organizing aspect with the focus on climate change. Whether a seasoned pro or you've never organized before, once you take advantage of this opportunity to take your organizing to the next level. OFA is partnering with the New Organizing Institute, NOI.
Who's leading it?
I really don't know, but I hopefully the New Organizing Institute will have a lot to do with it.
I'll send it to you.
Launching the Climate Fellowship Program, and this is designed to place talented individuals in progressive climate organizations for a 3-month paid internship with full benefits. RSP for this training today, even join us for a second day, that would be Sunday, week after next, 19th and 20th, I think. If you're interested in learning more about the program and what it takes to apply, that's for the individual 3-month paid fellowships. Whether you're interested in this NOI Climate Fellowship or just want to get involved in OFA's effort to change the conversation around climate, this training is for you. It's an all-day event at SEI U Local 1000 on 9th Street in downtown LA.
Wow, cool.
So I could move forward that. And then for someone who I signed up and was billed for the lead presentation at the campus in September on Covered California. And after the webinar the other day, I looked around and there's some wonderful YouTubes on that, including Lee's presentation in various places. And for someone like me who missed it, it was 2 hours and I could stop and can go back and see things. There's also a great slideshow on the regular site that I assume that would be nice to have for whatever purposes.
Yeah.
And even for personal study to go through these points if you're, and could be printed out or whatever. And then I'm not gonna be at the meeting if you have it this week. So I just wanted to say a personal thought is
which meeting you telling?
The Covered California.
The
Sounds like
town
you're
hall
trying-
that was at Cal State Long Beach.
Well, that one I was referring to where Lee made the major presentation.
That's the one you're saying is on the YouTube and you can watch it.
And they're from
Okay,
San
okay,
Jose
thank
and various places, same sort of thing
Okay.
we did. With lots of Q&A, which I think was the most helpful.
Don't ring the bell, please come in.
I assume you're gonna have a meeting this week on the planning for healthcare. And if you do, I won't be there, but I just wanted, just a thought going forward is other partners or in Long Beach, whether it's all the, as an organization or all the many components, churches, synagogues, community groups in Long Beach Coalition and other similar organizations who are probably doing something or may want speakers or what have you. So it's just a big opportunity there.
I think we could build a whole, an entire program around Covered California. I
Right.
mean, as a club,
Oh, we are.
this gives us something, I mean, like we could do presentations, we could do tabling, we could do a million different things. And I think there probably needs to be a group of people like brainstorming what that could be.
And I nominate you to Charlie.
Yes, of course. Do that. That was next.
And I'll be the deputy chair.
Yeah, right.
I love healthcare.
And one last thing is the website for Covered California, you're probably familiar with that a little bit. But that I've heard reference to and checked it out. The business site really is something worth exploring for groups like this in my mind. And if, again, this can all go in, but it's hbex.ca.gov. I think they mentioned that.
I missed that.
So you're gonna email that sheet
But I'll
to
give
us.
it, yeah, right.
Okay, good, because
Let's
it's
get all
packed,
that information
that
out.
is packed with information.
Right.
Definitely needed that.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Susan,
Thank you.
let me add a little bit to your report. I Tuesday evening, or no, yeah, Tuesday evening, night before last. I went to the OFA fundraiser for Ron,
Oh, you did?
yeah,
I
Curran.
thought you'd be.
Yeah. Ron, is it Curran? Curzon.
Oh.
Oh,
What's he
The
running
one
for?
with the.
Carson,
Carson,
Ron Carson.
John.
Ron Carson was the LGBT outreach community person at the White House, is now the executive director of OFA National. And I did not actually get to meet him because his flight was delayed and I had the county meeting to go to. But I was able to see our good friend, Stacy Cohen, and even better friend, MJ, Mary Jane Stevenson. And I don't know.
And the mayor.
Some of you, he was late too. Mike Petzold, who was
Oh, I remember
you
him.
remember Mike?
Mhm.
Okay, Mike was there. Constantine was there. It was like a reunion of kind of the mid pre-election group. It was very cool. But I was wearing this button. I had a suit coat and a tie on, one day, but I had this button on. And everybody said, "Where did you get that button?" I said, "I don't know, this gal named Maria, you know." Maria! Hi, how are you?
Oh, Maria.
Oh, man, I'm down. So, the point was, what I told everybody there, because everybody that I talked to, I just mentioned, knows about Yes We Can being a bit rogue, in the sense that we're a club, we affiliate with OFA, we support OFA, Organizing for America and Organizing for Action. When we agree with them, which is most of the time, and when we don't, we push back. Did that whole litany. I didn't have to, because they remembered that. And I said, you know what we're doing? We're out there doing this. And they said, really? That's what you should be doing. And other groups of people like ours on the west side, like Susan was talking about, a group right there in the mid-central area, I'll get the name later for you later. They're doing that now, they're tabling, they're talking about Recovery California. So this is something that's actually happening, and we're part of it. It was very cool.
Yeah, the webinar, Cover California had this webinar. Cindy was on, Carol was on, I was
I
on,
couldn't do it.
Susan was on.
Susan was on, and most of the people that were talking were saying, hey, you know, we need some information for our tabling stuff. You know, we're outreaching to the community. These guys at Cover California were overwhelmed by the amount of people that were saying, we want information, we're giving information, how do we get materials? So it's looking good in California, especially as far as community outreach.
And can I say?
There were a lot of faith-based groups that were on that webinar call. That was really impressive, where they're
Yeah.
going out into their communities. I think that's
Yeah, it's
really
really
a
good.
worthy cause.
And could I just say one last thing, just to keep in mind again, because I'm at a future meeting? I'd love to know what's going on in Cal State, University of Long Beach, and how trying to enroll the people who need to be enrolled, how in the future we might tie in or coordinate or whatever.
Okay.
What about
So,
Okay,
okay, I think we're going to,
all right, we are
wrap
now
up
in
that.
pretty much, we've got about 15 minutes, but Gerrie Schipske has just joined us, and we will have her speak to us in about 15. I want to go right through the next general membership issues very quickly. We need a red to blue report.
Yeah,
Chris, you have it?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry, what is it?
red to blue.
Okay.
More chairs.
Oh, what's yours?
Sorry.
Well, they're scrambling for chairs.
I'm sorry, costumes, well,
Yeah, pull your car out.
Standing room only, we're open for business, how are you?
Yeah, give us 30 seconds.
During the break, I forgot, I made you, as many as you could, the name tags. These should work.
Awesome. Stuart is just on a roll.
Yeah.
He's like, website is like, if you haven't been to our website, check it out, it's
Our
like,
website.
it's state of the art.
It looks really good.
Let's see, Mr. Raleigh,
Oh, these are cool.
Carol.
Oh, nicely done.
Thank you.
Are you gonna start a business for building websites?
I might,
should
yeah,
tell
I might,
people.
yeah, I'm thinking.
If anybody knows anybody that needs a website built, you can use the Yes We Can as an example.
Domain hosting. Need any domain hosting, you call Sam.
These like hot off the press.
Went off the press.
Okay.
It's still warm.
My name,
Oh, I don't know who I am. Scary.
And do you have a sheet? No.
These are blank ones.
Oh, they're blank. I'll hand those out to you.
Where's, Peggy?
Peggy's over there.
Peggy's in the back.
Peggy's in the back. They're drawing a blank.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's possible.
Let's see.
Oh, cheers, that's what we're doing.
Sorry.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
excuse me, I'm sorry. Excuse me, sorry.
I know, it's too long.
Cindy?
Good to see you. Yes, you were just, yeah. Thank you for the amount. I get that.
I know. Is there a Chris Phillips in there?
It's going
All right, so, okay, let's get back to order, please.
Okay, a lot of, everybody that has been involved in Yes We Can for the past, say, about 5 months has known that we established a Red to Blue Committee. And the Red to Blue Committee is committed to electing those Democratic candidates in red districts that we actually have the probability of winning that district. And it also expands to keep it blue. In 2012, we won 5 seats that were Republican and changed them to Democrat. And we were involved in a couple of those as well as expanding over the country. What we did was we endorsed a candidate out in San Bernardino County, who's the mayor of Redlands, named Pete Aguilar, who is in it's a Republican district with an 8% advantage in voter registration for Democrats. And we as a club endorsed Pete. As a club, we voted to have a fundraiser for Pete. And in the process of coordinating everything, that district, which was red, everyone knows the national scale, red, it went to pink. And now it's light blue.
Yay.
It's blue now. And we had a fundraiser for Mayor Aguilar. It was great. I don't know if everybody's here who attended. Oh, it was spectacular. We had the place looked phenomenal. We had the Dembowskis that donate many beautiful items.
We had candles in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, we had floating candles. Not sitting down at the bottom of the water, but floating on the water. And the Dembowskis voted a plethora of beautiful items, which I purchased a few for the silent auction.
There are 2 left at the top of the middle.
And number one, I would like to thank Chris Robeson, our president, for opening this home up for this fundraiser. And then number 2, all the hard work of the committee. Yeah. And it was actually, and it's great though, we all have a template now on really how to do this. When, I calculated all the expenses, itemized it, and we saw what worked, what didn't work. We have the value, for instance, our expenses for the event were $1,235.88, and that was for what Yes We Can had expense to have the event, which is called an in-kind donation.
Including valet parking.
We had valet parking,
It comes from Long Beach as far as I know.
valet parking, food, and good Democrats. And the event was a success because when we get the summation of the total value of the event, it comes out to $2,800. So that means that night we raised in cash $1,564.12 for Pete Aguilar. The mayor of Redlands, everybody. This is way out there. This is what Yes We Can does. This is what Yes We Can did. This is what we're going to continue to do.
And the in-kind goes toward the total too.
It goes towards that $2,800. And we had to give them the information. They had to report it to FEC. That's on the books right now. That Yes We Can did an in-kind donation. So we actually
Yes, we can.
we actually are in. We're actually in a file right now Yes.
Yeah, the
They are
NSA is looking for us.
Yeah, they are looking.
Oh, I already know.
They're listening right now to all of us through that lamp.
Just a quick comment too, that Sergio Carrillo he's the Democratic,
He's Region 16
Region 16.
party
had
representative.
nothing but nice things to say about our party.
Oh, and that's where I went, oh, I'm sorry.
That was a pretty good feeling to hear that. And also, we're taking this information and it's on the web now. We're encouraging other Democratic clubs in other places to do the same thing we're doing. Support somebody in a race that you think can go from red to blue.
That's where I'm gonna elaborate, I'm gonna get into that.
Let me add one more thing to that because it's really important what Sergio said. Sergio recognized this club.
That's what I'm talking about here.
Despite, he said, a number of us wondered why there's this new club. Why are there the six club?
Back in 2012, or I'm sorry, yeah, it was, no, it was 2008, 2009, you're right.
It was backwards.
You're right,
The
2009.
point is, he said, you guys focus on federal races. Other clubs focus on other races. Everyone has a niche, okay? And that's what we do. And it was really cool. And he also said, what I love about this club, they support the president when they agree with him, and they push back when they don't.
Bravo. Everybody in this room, just like that. And then with a successful event, the next step, and as Maria had brought up, for the Red and Blue, number one, we're going to continue to support Pete and his efforts to, we're actually going to gain a seat, and we have an ally with Pete Aguilar in Congress.
They were so happy.
We have an ally there. We have Pete's ear. You know, when we need an ear, we need assistance in Congress, Pete is going to win, and we have that now, which is spectacular. And then number two is Red to Blue. Focus on Red to Blue as we're going to expand. I'm going to meet with our wonderful graphic artists over here. I want to do R2B. I want to start making R2B buttons and make that this national campaign that she's referring to. Because back in 2012, what we did was within the committee is everybody had adopted a candidate. And we did this time. Not a lot of candidates responded. But we're going to continue that and make buttons for these candidates. So the giant has been awoken in the Red and Blue Committee. Yes, we can.
And go to campus in their neighborhood and show them how to do tabling events in their neighborhood to encourage them. It's about motivation and encouragement.
This was step one. Step one was to raise money. Chris and I were up at Pete's fundraiser in Rancho Cucamonga in May or June.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, the reason you didn't win is you were in an open primary, okay, and all the Democrats killed each other, and there were two Republicans running against each other. And Gary Miller won against another Republican. How are you gonna avoid that? I'm gonna raise more money and scare Baca and the others out. And that's why we said, you know what we're gonna do? Yeah, we're not the biggest club in the world. $2,800 is not the biggest.
We're one of the loudest, though.
But I'll tell you what his campaign manager said, we raised $200,000 before the September 30th filing. You were more than 10% of it.
Yeah, isn't that great? That's
It's not, everything we do is hard, okay? And this is real hard, okay? And we do it, okay?
Okay, time.
Go on. Next.
That's Moby is next.
Money out, voters in. Well,
Thank you.
talk about getting the money out of politics. Actually, good news, we have a vote, will be on the agenda for the City Council of Long Beach, a resolution to overturn Citizens United. There's been a group of us, about 10, Peggy, several of us have been involved in the club, some even people outside the club, we've been meeting one by one with each of the city council members. We've met with 8 of the 9. We either met with the city council member themselves as Gerrie, you are our first. And then, or else we met with the chief of staff, but it was mostly the actual council members.
Good.
And we got the support of all 8 of the ones we met. Every single one supports it. So
Who's the one that
Al
does
Austin is going to be our champion. He's going to take it to the floor. And he has teamed up with Patrick O'Donnell. So we think we've got a nice twosome. And it's going to happen on the 22nd. We'd like as many people there as possible. That's a Tuesday night, October 22nd. And yes, we can. 5 o'clock.
Are you guys on the agenda?
Yeah, we're on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, but you also want people in the
it? Yeah,
lineup
we
before?
need people.
Yeah,
Well,
we
here,
want
let me
people in the
elaborate.
audience.
Let me elaborate on that. 3 people are gonna speak, okay? John Smith from Common Cause is gonna speak.
Is that really his name?
That is Attorney Cause, been advising us the whole way. You will like this
Okay,
guy.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Carol's gonna speak, I'm gonna speak. You know,
Okay.
you get like 3 minutes to say your spiel. We're gonna try to coordinate our spiel so that it ties all together. Talk to the very friendly council and say, you know, you guys are good for doing this. I mean, who doesn't wanna do this at this time?
Yeah, I mean, Gary DeLong is for it.
Oh, really?
I'm
Is he
so
one of these?
shocked. Yeah.
You know, we wanna do this, Los Angeles did it, we wanna join the 50 other California cities that have passed this resolution. It's symbolic, yes, but it's meaningful,
That's
so
important.
we can get
Very
this.
important. Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah, go Louis. Eileen, you have the membership report.
Yes, we will be concentrating from now to the end of the year on renewing memberships and getting people to come retain involvement in the club. We're going to begin that right away.
A little sidebar to your membership report, we sent out a donor mailing to 200 folks on our donor list who gave more than $500 to any campaign of importance. And that's just federal above. In the last 2 cycles, we received back $250. So we covered cost of mailing plus a little bit toward the event.
Good.
Okay, thank you. And the list will go to membership for
Wonderful, thank
content.
you.
Okay,
Okay, Mayor,
No, Peggy.
Okay, yeah, luckily my committee has all agreed to meet for the first meeting on October 16th here at Chris's house at 6 o'clock. Hope everybody that's on the committee will be able to be there.
7 o'clock, please.
7 o'clock you prefer?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
October 16th.
Unless you've already sent it out, you guys, I'll let you in early. I'm working now.
I can do that, I can let
7
people in early,
Alright.
if you've already sent out
6
the email,
o'clock, go
I
ahead,
can do
go ahead.
that.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well, okay.
So-
What the mayoral debate is, it's scheduled for February 28th, 2014, and Gerrie was the first mayor that agreed to participate in it. We're inviting all the mayor candidates so that the community can meet them up close. And we have already 3 who agreed so far, besides Gerrie.
Good.
Robert Garcia was the second one to agree. And the third one is Bonnie Lowenthal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is
Okay.
gonna be
I know.
exciting.
And those are the 3 top contestants I hear. So it's gonna be interesting.
That's editorial. Okay, very good.
So, thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
point.
you.
All right. We really are a little behind schedule. We're gonna hold off the break. We'll have it afterwards. We'll have that right afterwards. We'd like now to introduce our special guest, who is Long Beach Councilmember Gerrie Schipske. The camera's there.
And that's what my name tag says too, so.
Yeah, that's
Did
good.
I spell it right?
Yes, you can, you sure can, my God. I want to thank you for inviting me tonight. I will tell you, when I become mayor, the first thing I'm going to do is get on-street parking. And that alley I just walked through paved.
No picture.
Well, I have to tell you, we have 44 alleys in my district, and I've actually been using a crew, and we've been out there cleaning all of our alleys and getting the dumped items out and calling in the potholes, but, you know, there are some that are just don't qualify to be called alleys.
Right.
Unfortunately, the city's never done anything about that.
Belmont Shore.
Yeah. I want to thank you again, and I really was very pleased that some of you came to my office to talk to me about a number of things that you all are working on. I will tell you, I understand the importance of Democratic clubs because I was the executive director of the Orange County Democratic Party, and clubs are the lifeline of the Democratic Party. They used to think it was the Central Committee, but I have to tell you it's not. It's the clubs who do the work in the party. So I appreciate what you're doing on behalf of the Democratic Party because it's important, even though Long Beach by registration is blue. There's an element in the city that isn't blue.
Yeah.
Or will not stand up and say they're blue or vote blue. And so that is a challenge, I think, for all of us as we try to get people elected into office is to make certain that we turn out Democrats and we make certain that Democrats continue to voice the fact that they are Democrats and not try to hide from it. So that's, to me, really important for our party to do. I was born in Long Beach. I was born at the Naval Hospital, which is now the Veterans Hospital down the street on 7th. My parents at the end of World War II were babies, but they met at the Pike. My dad,
The Pike.
my dad was a Marine and he was stationed on the USS Topeka, and they were anchored off of Long Beach, and he came over and met my mom. My mom and her family, he was from New Jersey, and my mom's family was from Pennsylvania, and they came out here in search of a job, because even though we had the war and it was employing people, the economy was not very good in many parts of the country. So my grandmother, grandfather, and their 11 children came out here, and my grandfather worked in the shipyards as a carpenter for a while. My grandmother worked as a nursing assistant at the Naval Hospital, and that's how she got my mom into the hospital to get me delivered. Because my dad was out of the Marine Corps, just got out of the Marine Corps, so they somehow worked that out, and I was born there. They were married at St. Lucy's over on the west side. My grandmother was a Gold Star mother on Santa Fe Avenue. And so my life has been connected to Long Beach from the very beginning. My dad had that wonderful thing called the GI Bill, which we need back to get people employed, get them to college, but most importantly to be able to buy a house. And so they were able to buy a brand new house in a little city called Lakewood that had this new thing called a shopping center. And my mother said she wanted to live there, so we moved over to Michelson Avenue and then Downey Avenue. But then she wanted another new house, so my dad said okay, so they went out to Orange County. So I grew up in Boynton Park. Don't hold that against me. It's given me a real understanding of how Republicans operate. But I came back here in 1977, the city manager of Long Beach. I don't know, most of you are not old enough to remember 77, but Long Beach was going through tremendous corruption. A couple of things were happening. The LA Times was doing an expose. David Shaw was writing a series of front page columns about how the press telegram owned this city and called all the shots. Dan Ritter, it was owned by Dan Ritter, and they owned the city of Long Beach. The other bad thing that was happening in the city of Long Beach is that we had a city manager who was being blackmailed. He was gay. Not a lot of people know that, but our police department was constantly picking him out of gay bars, and they held that over him. So they basically, our police department ran roughshod over a lot of things in the city of Long Beach, particularly the motorcycle cops. It gets better. The planning director wound up going to prison because he was trading planning decisions for gold coins and other things, and that is why we got CDIP. CDIP came out of that because people were so outraged about all the development that was taking place. We weren't really as appreciative of wetlands as we are now, but down by 2nd and PCH, the last package deal that was allowed to go through before CDIP, that was under the corrupt planning director, was Marina Pacifica. And we've had to deal with that ever since because it said subsidence and it's just not designed correctly as a shopping place. The city continues to subsidize it even though they don't do what they're supposed to. So the city manager of Long Beach was recruiting and he wanted to bring somebody to be the city's first public information officer and what they call citizen participation officer, because a wonderful group of people in the community did a task force and said, the people who are getting appointed to committee, commissions, and boards in the city of Long Beach all seem to live in one neighborhood. Because at that time, we didn't have district elections, and all your Board of Education came from one neighborhood. And then eventually when that was split off, it became the community college district. They all lived in one neighborhood. So it was not this neighborhood, by the way. And so the group of voters got together and said, somebody needs to do something about this. We really need to change how committee, commissions, and boards are appointed. We also need to be able to communicate with residents because the only paper in town, it's the press telegram, and we need some way to get information out. So I was a press secretary in the United States Congress at the time, and I wanted to come back to Long Beach, and the city manager came all the way out to Washington, interviewed me, and then offered me the position, and so I came out here in '77, back here in '77, and I've been here since. And in that capacity, not only working for the city of Long Beach, I've also been on committee, commissions, and boards. And I was on the Queensway Bay Committee for 6 years. I was the vice chair, and we shepherded in the aquarium. It didn't quite turn out the way it was promised to turn out, by the way, folks, but the city was in such a hurry to get that aquarium built because USC had announced it was going to build an aquarium, and they wanted to beat them. I will tell you that when it first opened, my heart sank because it was not what we said it was going to be, but I have to tell you, over the years it's gotten tremendously better, and most because of Gerrie Schipske, who's taken over that aquarium and really turned it into a first-class educational center. So Long Beach has benefited tremendously by that. So I have been on both sides in City Hall. I worked for the city manager, I wrote all the budget messages, I tried to get the information out, we tried to revamp the committee, commissions, and boards. And actually one of the biggest changes that happened at the time was the city manager used to appoint most of the committee, commissions, and boards, including the Harbor Commission. And the man that I worked with, his name was John Deaver, I have to tell you, he's the most ethical person in city management in the state of California, and actually nationally. He's been honored numerous times. He's just an ethical guy. And one of the things that struck me was he didn't have a lot of paperwork. I always, thought, geez, how does he do this? He only had on paper once, and then it got taken care of. And the only thing he had hanging in the office was the Athenian credo, which says about city-states that we shall leave them better than we found them.
Wow.
And that was his, and that struck me. I was a kid. I was in my 20s, and I just really thought that's exactly what I thought we're supposed to do in local government. So over the years, I became involved in a number of things. I was elected in 1992 to the Long Beach Community College Board of Trustees, and we were at large at that time. And one of the things I did as president is I shepherded in district elections because everybody looked the same. Everybody looked the same. And so they finally have diversity on the community college district. In that capacity, I worked with Long Beach Unified School District to create what we called at the time the seamless education system. That the concept was to start at kindergarten, and in Long Beach you can start in kindergarten and go to community college and then go to college, all in the same city. Very few cities allow that or have that. So that was what we tried to work on. And we started out, we called it the Education Compact, because we wanted to get an agreement with kids that if you wanted to be a teacher, the community should help work out ways to assure that you get to do that. So that's what we worked on, and we took kids that were in high school to mentor kids that were in junior high, and then they were assured of a scholarship to go to Cal State Long Beach to become teachers. So that's the kind of things that we can do in this city that really says we think education is important and move them along. So in '92 I was elected. I actually at that time, even though a lot of people, history seems to get revised all the time, I'm the first openly gay person ever to be elected in the city of Long Beach. And that was just when nobody was getting elected. Nobody was getting elected. And and then in 1996, I ran for the state assembly. I ran against Steve Kuykendall. Actually, I ran against Laura Richardson and I beat her in the primary. But I ran against Steve Kuykendall, and it was one of the closest races in the state of California. I lost by less than 1%.
Oh.
Okay? So then foolishly, the Democratic Party said, hey, how would you like to run against Steve Horn? You'd like to run against Steve Kuykendall, Steve Horn, whatever. Why don't you run for Congress? So in 2000, I did. And I beat 6 people, I think, in the primary. And I went on, and my race was the 5th closest race in the United States. It was so close, it took 6 weeks, and as I tell people in my file, I still have my papers from the clerk of the House inviting me to my orientation.
Like the Dewey Truman headline.
Yes. Well, so it took 6 weeks to count, and I lost by 1,632 votes.
She remembers that number.
Oh, yeah.
But who's counting, out of 162,000 votes. So it was close. But the point is that Long Beach was steadily growing more Democrat. And that I think amazed a lot of people, because even though Steve Martin was a nice moderate Republican, and we don't have any of those anymore, and he was a very decent man, the fact remains is that Long Beach was not viewed as a Democrat city. And it certainly wasn't viewed as a union city by any means. Long Beach has a horrible history about how it has treated labor over the years. It's taken many years to change or to get to somewhat of a positive point, but it is terrible. And the reason I know is that I've written 3 books on the history of Long Beach. And in fact, a little commercial, this Saturday, the Orange Book Fair has invited me to come out George County to talk about my books about the history of Long Beach. And that's given me a really good perspective on where we've been and where we can go. And I think we have to understand our history. We have to understand what's made Long Beach up. We have to understand why we have homes, beautiful homes like this, and we have the cracker box apartments that got put in and ruined much of our area. Much of our area. And where that came from and what decisions were made around that. So I've been very fortunate all these years to have that kind of perspective. I was elected in 2006 to the 5th Council District. That's way over on the east side. It's the largest district geographically. It's 11.5 square miles. Because I tell people it's the least dense district in many ways.
Took me a second there.
Anyway, we have mostly single-family homes. We have very few apartments, very few condos. So it is spread out. And it goes from, I know I'm seeing the, I know about, my daughter lives over here, and I see the parking problem, and I'm thinking, and my constituents complained that someone parked in front of their house last night. Meanwhile, the rest of the street's empty. But they parked right in front of my house. Can't you do something about that?
Oh my gosh.
I told them I'm not a follower of capital punishment, so that kind of rules that option out. But in 2006, I was elected to the 5th Council District. It starts at Cherry Avenue, it goes all the way over to the Orange County border. It goes as far as Delamo Avenue, all the way down where the 405 intersects Atherton. It's huge. I have the airport. I have 3 fire stations. I have 2 library branches. I have 22 schools in my district. I have most of the Long Beach Unified School District is over there. I have most of the parkland. I have El Dorado Park, Wardlow, Good Neighbor Park, Rose and the Riveter Park.
Nice places, but no voters in those areas.
No, but but what that means is we have a lot of infrastructure needs. We have the most sidewalks, the most streets, and the most trees, so we have the most infrastructure needs. So I was elected in 2006. I ran against about 6 people, and also the incumbent who had been termed out and wanted to do a write-in. So I beat everybody, came in first, but we had to have a runoff, and then I won the election in the June runoff. In 2010, I was reelected with 64% of the vote. The chamber, oh God bless them, tried to run somebody against me. And as I say, they tried to run somebody against me. But here's the interesting thing, and this is why when I want to tell you a little bit of the strategy about the mayor's race. You have to win the 5th Council District to win mayor in Long Beach. We have the highest turnout in the city of Long Beach. We get up to 40% turnout in an election. And they, trust me, they come to meetings, they come out to everything. I get 100 to 125 emails a day. Wow. And they are constantly contacting me. Well, and then I answer them. And my partner keeps saying, why? Why? Is it because they think I've done this for so many years, they expect an answer. So they're very engaged, they will turn out. But I want to give you some figures that it's very important all of us keep in mind. And the first figure is, it's debatable if it's 23 or up to 30%. And then we have a figure of 55. And then we have a figure of 23. And and I will tell you what those are. The first figure is the amount of poverty in this city. Long Beach, by census figures, is about 22% of the population are at or below the poverty level. That amount is probably a little bit higher because the census is not finalized, okay? That 55% is the amount of children in the city of Long Beach that are at or below the poverty level. And that figure has gone upwards over the last many years. When we talk about crime in the city, I will tell you, I didn't get that figure, but 60% of the violent crime is committed in those areas where the poverty is. So when you get those overlays in a community, it's very difficult for people to function. It's very difficult for kids to go to school and to thrive. And we've somewhat ignored that in any kind of public discussion about elected officials. The other thing is we have the highest unemployment in LA County. We have almost the highest unemployment in the state of California. Actually, we're higher than the state. We're 11.3%. The state is 8.2%.
Wow.
And you take that and overlay it on top of the poverty, and you've got some very serious problems going on. One of which is we don't have enough training. Unfortunately, Long Beach City College, Council 17, they're very needed vocational programs at a time when these are people who absolutely need the training so that they can succeed and take jobs. So we have that difficulty. And then the figure I gave you, 23%, that's the turnout in April elections. 23%. Out of 456,000 people in the city, you probably won't see more than about 33,000 people voting. That's not right.
Now I'm gonna try to change
Because
that.
especially when you look at the 3 districts that really command the most votes, and that's the 5th council district, the 3rd council district, and then the 8th. Then everything else from there is spread out, and the numbers go down. So that, for instance, in the 1st council district, somebody who's running for council only has to get 1,100 votes to win. I had to get 7,000 votes.
Wow.
Right? And the second time around, I got much more than that. That's the disparity that we're seeing in the city, that the people who vote are over on the east side, and they're not the ones being hit by the violent crime. They're not the ones being hit by the poverty. They're not the ones with their kids in poverty. Everybody else is on the other side, and they are not voting. So one of the things that the clubs need to do is try to get more people out to vote. Because unless they come out to vote and their voice is heard, it's very clear that the east side dominates a lot of the political decisions that get made through the mayor's office. And traditionally, that's where all the mayors have come from. Now, I'm a good person, so you can elect me from the east side, so that's it. But the reality is that we need to have the voices of everybody in this city, because if we don't rise the tide for everyone, we got a lot of boats that are sinking out in Long Beach. They are just literally sinking. Families are desperate. And what we're seeing now, because the city cut, and this is our current mayor, cut the gang unit, which is a unit that gets a lot of intelligence and gang activities. We are seeing an uptick in the violent crime because they just don't have enough officers. On the east side last night, I was over at a meeting in a home like this, and they had just been burglarized. 3 people on the street just got burglarized. And catalytic converters, by the way, are being taken by the dozen because there's platinum inside the converter, and they know how to pop them off, get them, and they, on our side of town, we are seeing a rash of that. Yeah, and copper wire, they're stripping buildings, they're stripping public facilities of copper wire and anything that has any kind of value. We don't get much discussion of this in the political circle. When we talk about, the chamber says, oh, we gotta bring jobs. Well, let me tell you something, when I walk, and I walk my district now, this is the 4th time, I'm almost done with it. When I ask people where they get their information about Long Beach, well, first of all, they say my blog, so that's great. But when they say I watch TV, and you know what people see on TV? The Queen Mary weather cam. Or a shooting in Long Beach. And so people who don't know Long Beach, who don't know the wonderful diversity, the wonderful things that have happened in many segments of our community to make this just a fantastic city to be in, they look at us and they go, I don't know if we want to relocate our business here. I don't know if we want to bring jobs here. I don't know if I want to move here. And we've got to work on that. We have got to change that so that what we're doing is getting across information to all of our residents about that there are some really positive things happening in the city and that we can move forward. One of the things I pushed tremendously since I've been in City Council, I'm also on the California Medical Board. I was appointed by the State Senate. I'm one of the only nurses, I'm a nurse practitioner and attorney, I'm one of the only nurses in the United States to be on a medical board. And it's so funny, when I first got there, I'm their worst nightmare. I'm a nurse practitioner and an attorney.
That's very scary.
But you know what? We've worked together, and last year I served, they elected me as vice chair. One of the things I did with them that I've been trying to do with City Council is bring open and transparency. We are now going to do teleconferencing for the medical board, so you'll be able to watch us, because many people have difficulties coming to our meetings, and they have grievances against physicians. We license and discipline all the doctors in California. And the other thing is that I put up, and we voted on it, that before we get to vote on something, we have to disclose to the public audience. Did we have a meeting with someone on this issue that you all didn't know about, that was behind the scenes? And so we have to disclose that. I can't get our city council to do that. So one of the things I've been trying to push is a variety of reforms that we need to open up our government. The more you know about the government, the more you'll be able to participate and help us. You can't know how to help us on the budget if we haven't been open with you, if you don't really know what's going on. When I ask people for their opinion, I do a lot of surveying with people, and a lot of people say, I don't know. And it's because they don't feel they have enough information. So I've been working in an open and transparent government. I brought in the issue that lobbyists can no longer give anybody gifts. And I have to tell you the funniest thing, when that discussion went on in council, one of the members who's not there anymore said, oh, that's not fair. I mean, if they wanted to give me something at Christmas time,
I want it.
I want it. And I said to this person, Val, I said, you know, Val, I hate to break it to you, but they really don't like you. They're doing this because they want something from you, and when you're out of office, the gifts will stop. So we don't.
She said exactly this. I'm lobbyists now.
Yeah, lobbyists, you can't take gifts from lobbyists. I've also tried to work on a number of other reforms. We are going to have, for the very first time, an ethics guide in the campaign pamphlet that I've got my colleagues to agree to, so that people can just have some basic ideas of what to look in, you know, with a candidate and mailers and things like that. But the most important part is that we really need to be open and transparent about what we do and the money that goes on, the development deals that have gone down in this city, that we're not open and transparent, and this nonsense that we get this last minute, we gotta do it now kind of thing, and the public and the council really doesn't have all the full details. I was very honored in July to be called by the White House, and they asked me to come back, and I did, and I was honored as one of 6 people in the United States as a champion of change for open government. And it was so funny because they were being quiet when they called, and my scheduler said, oh, they have this thing and they want you to go back, and I said, well, I really don't have the time and money to do it, so is somebody from California getting honored? And they said, well, we really can't tell you, but you know, we're having a panel, we'd like you to come, and I said, I really can't do it, and they said, okay, you're being honored, so please show up. Okay.
Get on the plane.
And it was wonderful because not only did they honor me, but they honored Long Beach, and they had me participate on a panel that is up on the White House website. You can go look at Champions of Change. And we were able to talk about some of the things that we've been trying to do to open up government. Because as Thomas Jefferson said, information is the currency of democracy. And the more information we have, the richer this democracy can be. And that's what I'm trying to do in this campaign. I am trying to get information out. I am also making it a major part of the platform that you should demand no less from any elected official. I don't care if it's council, whatever, that things are opened up so that you know what it is that we're doing, because we work for you. It's been an honor for me to do this for, I'm going into my 8th year now in City Council, and I would love to continue what I've done in the 5th Council District and do that citywide, because I think there's just so many things we can do. I brought so many projects to the city, and I'm really sad about, somewhat that I'm not going to be in council because I do the annual Solar Grand Prix where we open it up to all middle school kids and high school kids, and we get them a solar car kit, and they build a solar car and then they race it. And this teachers use it as a science project in the school system. And all the money that I've needed to get, I've raised privately. We just got American Honda last year as a sponsor in Southern California Edison, and it's great. The kids have to learn about solar energy, and then they learn how a car works, and then they put it together, and they race it, and they just absolutely love it. And most of the girl teams win. So we've been doing that. I just had my 7th Good Neighbor Festival. We bring in community organizations and nonprofits so that they can meet each other. We had over 1,000 people in the park, in the Good Neighbor Park last week. They come, they learn, they get to find out what's going on, and they make connections doing that. We've just done a number of things in the 5th Council District that I think we could take citywide. I think it's a great opportunity this coming. The election is April. Whomever you decide to support, please get out there and encourage people to vote, because that's the important message we have to send. It would be so nice that next time we talk in June, before the runoff, is that the turnout in April was high, because that's going to send a strong signal.
I have a question for you. You said that the 5th district comes out and votes, but
Yes.
compared to like the 3rd and the 8th, the other districts don't come out and vote. So are they not coming out to vote because they're not registered to vote, because they can't vote, or because people don't outreach in those communities?
A couple of things. It's a mixed question. In the registrations are very high in the 5th, 3rd, the 8th, the 7th, very high. And the 7th has pretty good turnout too. But when you get into the other districts, the registration is very low. I mean, again, look at the 1st Council District. 1,600 people vote in the council election. The council person got elected with 1,100 votes. 1,600 out of 44,000, because each council district has about 45,000 people. And of that, you figure how many kids and whatever, but I mean, it's a combination of lack of registration, can't vote, or just choose not to vote.
Had a lot of transients.
Yeah, especially in the downtown area, especially 1st, 2nd, 6th district, and 9th district to an extent, because you have a large Hispanic population up there that may not be documented, may not be registered to vote. But that still means that you've got the east side driving the agenda,
Right.
and driving the outcome of most of the elections. And we've not only got the mayor's race citywide, we have the city auditor, the city prosecutor, and the city attorney, and all of those are very, very important positions. Yes.
Okay, before we start, I just want to let you know, as president of the Democratic Club here, we really appreciate you coming here tonight and talking to us. But I want to let you know what our position will likely be, is we're likely not to endorse the mayoral campaign until, at least till the primary, because many of us support different candidates, and as you know, there's a lot of flux.
Right.
And I have 2 questions for you. 1, how are you going to beat Bonnie Lowenthal? And 2, what about the breakwater?
All right, number 1, Bonnie Lowenthal is going to have serious trouble. In fact, the skinny on the street is that her being in the race is very good for me. Because she and, if you want it, you can write this down. She and Robert and Suja, who says she's staying in the race, are all going to tear each other up and go after the same kind of voters. The deal is you've got to win the 5th district. And the 5th district is moderate and conservative. They can't win that. And so that's going to be a big factor. They would have to win everything over in the other districts I'm going to make the runoff. I don't know who the other person's going to be, because they're all similar to me. I mean, similar to each other, and I'm kind of a little bit different because of where I represent.
Okay, thank you.
The breakwater. All right, it's unfortunate, and I've done a lot of research on the breakwater. I helped actually the Surfrider Foundation when they brought it to council. It was about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Beverly O'Neill was there, and Beverly O'Neill promptly scuttled it. Took the whole issue away that night, and the vote went down. I think it was 6-3 against. And since then, though, that's how Surfrider found out that the Army Corps of Engineers owns the breakwater, we don't. They built it, they own it, they have jurisdiction. There is a formula by which they will determine whether or not they will make any adjustments in anything they built. And then if they do, there has to be a cost sharing between the Army Corps of Engineers and the City of Long Beach. So it's not something they would do on their own. I will tell you quite honestly that it's not coming down. And I'll tell you why, and I think it's been disingenuous of the people who've been acting as if it were. You take a look at the study now, it's not called the breakwater study. I haven't even called it a breakwater study in about 2 or 3 years. It's an ecosystem study. It's to talk about figuring out how to replenish the water that is behind the breakwater, how to make it cleaner, but it's not focused on the breakwater. And for a variety of reasons. The breakwater was first built in 1897, and it was built over in the San Pedro area when that port was starting to be developed. And then they did it so that ships could come in without being thrushed about. I mean, that's the common reason for breakwaters, to create calm water so ships can come in safely. So then it was extended, and it was extended at the request of the City of Long Beach, who at that time was trying to figure out if it wanted its own harbor. And they lobbied in Washington, D.C. So it was extended in the early 1900s and then 1920s. And then they asked for additional money in the 1930s to extend it all the way to where it actually is now. And I will tell you what I learned when I looked at the congressional study on it, is that we came this close to losing the Port of Long Beach because Congress was getting this close to merging the two ports. They said, why do we have two ports? Why are we spending this money? Why should we do this for Long Beach when LA needs this? The war broke out. That's what stopped us from merging. So the breakwater, as we know it today, was completed. And it wasn't complete for the Navy. It had already been on track to be completed, but it allowed the Navy to be able to safely come in. It allowed the offshoring of weapons, a lot of things, and so it was left there. When I was a kid, up until when I was in my teens, we used to come down Long Beach. There was waves down there. There was a breakwater down there. What we didn't have was Pier J jutting out, and it is the pier. It's the pier of Long Beach that keeps the water from coming in. It's a southwesterly kind of swell that comes from Palos Verdes Peninsula. That is why they have for years had to replenish the sand over at Naples and the peninsula, because that water no longer deposits the sand. It comes from the granite from the cliffs over at Palos Verdes, so they have to ship it in. So we now have a port that totally juts out. I ask all of you, go out someday and just look and see how far out that port is, and understand that that blocks a great deal of the wave action. Seal Beach Naval Station doesn't want it removed because they use the breakwater as a safety barrier so that they can offshore some very dangerous weapons that they put in the Seal Beach weapons station. The port is opposing it because now what we're seeing, the reason Gerald Desmond Bridge is being rebuilt, is because you're going to see the largest tankers you've ever seen in your life come through there, and they would not be able to come in less than calm water. So if you remove the breakwater, they could not come into the entry of the port. So that's a factor. People who live in Naples don't want it down, although that breakwater down there is a little bit different than the one by the port. The biggest reason we have pollution, and it's horrible down there, it's horrible, like Parker's Lighthouse, and it's just, is because the Army Corps of Engineers reconfigured the LA River. When we had tremendous flooding in Long Beach, we had every year numerous floodings from the 1800s all the way into the 1940s and 50s. They put in a flood control system. That's why we have flood control channels, mostly on the east side, because that's all water property. And our airport used to flood tremendously. And I can tell you, anywhere they find gas in oil, they find water. So anywhere, those are all water department properties. So what they did is they reconfigured the LA River. LA River used to come downstream and then wind through the port. And as it did, it dispensed whatever particulate matter, and the ocean cleaned up.
Right.
It can't do that now because it comes straight down and it just dumps. Just dumps at the end.
Wow.
So that's a big factor that creates then that back swell that comes in behind the breakwater and makes it very dirty. Look at the federal government right now. They're doing crazy stuff. We don't know that the feds are even going to move on this. That's the dilemma. Something needs
It's their call, right?
It's their call. Something needs to be done. We need to clean up the water, but I don't think it's fair for elected officials to hold out and say, oh, well, we're gonna cut the breakwater down, you're gonna have wages back and all that. I don't see that happening. I mean, that doesn't seem to be possible. We
Thank you.
have to overcome so many other
Thank you
barriers.
for your candor. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? Stella?
Yeah, thanks Jerry for being here today, first off. You were talking about crime and poverty, and then you were talking about the brilliance of LBCC Board of Trustees cutting, 11,
17.
17. So what can you do, or is there something that a mayor can do to help reverse those types of conditions?
Well, one of the things is that we need to work with businesses and demonstrate they're demanding this kind of training. That was part of, and I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been working with the aviation industry, the small aviation industry, who is just appalled that Long Beach City College closed down the aviation maintenance program.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place in the area to get trained to work on airplanes, no place. And so when we met with Long Beach City College, and I said, did you do a market survey to find out? No. And I'll tell you, they gave me even a further illustration. I said, no, I don't think you did a market study because you eliminated ultrasound tech jobs. And that's one of the biggest booming areas of radiology. And she goes, yeah, well, we put the program back. Well, they put the program back because the hospitals complained that they can't hire enough people. Aviation didn't have enough clout, the small aviation didn't have enough clout to say, put the aviation program back. And what is so appalling, folks, is that I would say that most of you in this room voted for it. They put out a bond measure. Long Beach City College put a bond measure out a couple of years ago. And in their literature, because I pulled it back up, it asks you to agree to a parcel tax to pay for a new aviation maintenance facility at the Pacific Coast campus. So you know now what they're going to do? They're going to lease out all these public facilities to private training companies. So when I met with them, what they said, well, we can bring back an aviation maintenance program, even $25,000 a year. And I'm going, the students that go to your school, 90% of them have waivers. They do not even pay the basic unit fee. I know because I was a trustee. Or they have scholarships. Where are they getting $25,000? And that would be for any of the maintenance programs. So it is appalling, but I think what the mayor, I know what the mayor's office can be. The mayor's office can be a catalyst and a coordinator and really say, look, we need, it's a disjointed conversation that's going out in Long Beach about we've got this poverty, we've got this unemployment, but we've got this stuff going on at City College and Long Beach Unified is struggling. We've got all these things and nobody's sitting down at the table and saying, we need to sit down together. And we need to talk to the major employers who would love to come to Long Beach, but have a different view of the city than perhaps we think they should have. And that's where the mayor's job is. And to be not just a cheerleader for Long Beach, but to be somebody who's going to pull people together and say, look, I have to tell you, we lost Tesla Motors. Okay? I know this because I tried to get them to come here over in the 5th Council District, and the president, Elon Musk, and I just heard from Chris Pook, who runs the Grand Prix, and he's a friend of his. Elon said, our mayor and our city manager were so rude to him that they would never do business with us. Okay, so that was Tesla. We were offered the USS Iowa. They came in my office. They were sent over to the mayor's office. They got the same rude reception and they went over to LA. And it is a wonderful, wonderful historic exhibit. I mean, they are just doing all kinds of wonderful things. Years ago, when I was on the Queensway Bay Committee, Disneyland wanted to come here and do Port Disney. Now, I will tell you the truth of the matter, they were playing us on Anaheim. They wanted to build California Adventure, and they wanted to scare Disney into thinking they'd go, Anaheim to think they're going someplace else. But they did have some things they wanted to do in Long Beach. And they were so disgusted with kind of the treatment that came back to them. They left.
Wow.
And so we have all this great potential and possibility. And to me, that's what the mayor's office is responsible for. We shouldn't say no to anyone. We should talk to them. We shouldn't give the store away, and we shouldn't give your taxes away. But we certainly should not sit there and constantly say, nah. You know, I want to tell you the #1 news item in the last 2 months. Do you know what it is? to bring the cyclone racer back.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And Press Telegram got their head slapped when they did an editorial and put my name in it and said, oh, well, you know, this is not whatever. And they asked the readers. The readers came back 79% and said, yes, what are you talking about? This is a great idea. This would bring tourism. And that's not necessarily the point about the cyclone racer, but we've got to stop saying no. And we really, that's the tune of your committee here, your club, is yes, you can. And Long Beach needs to say more of that and figure out how to do it. We've got the people, we've got the brains, we've got the colleges, we've got the opportunities, we've got a wonderful port and airport, we've got a great group of things. And it just seems it's all disconnected. And it needs to somehow be brought together.
Great question, great answer.
Yes.
What are they doing with the bowling plant over there? I noticed that, because I go by there on Liquid Boulevard, and it looks like they're tearing down the big hangar.
Yeah, look at, they're doing great things. Let me
Oh,
tell you
good,
what, let me
okay.
tell you what
I was
happened.
hoping they don't, my dad worked at Douglas for years. I've been
Well,
at
and one of
Lakewood
the
since
things, and I got
54,
my colleagues to vote for it, is before Boeing leaves, we need to get them to give us a facility so that we can have an aviation museum, because aviation made the city of Long Beach. And they have set one up in Seattle, a museum of flight. It attracts 500,000 people a year. It's a Smithsonian affiliate. They can do that before they leave.
And we gotta save that great neon sign.
Well, yes. No, it's safe, it's safe. It was part of the purchase agreement and part of the land use agreement with the city of Long Beach, that they cannot, the truth of the matter is they can't put the sign in place else. I mean, really, there's no place else, so they're stuck, and they've said yes. So let me tell you what's happened. Boeing is not a really good real estate company. They don't know what to do with property, but they had to sell it. So they had a developer. The developer wasn't really doing much, and it was just sitting there. Part of it was the economy. Finally, Sarah's Regis, which is a company out in Irvine, bought everything. They came in and they bought both sides of Lakewood Boulevard. They bought the west side, and it's going like gangbusters over there.
Mercedes?
Well, that's on the other side. On the west side of Lakewood Boulevard, where they had already taken all the structures and things down, they're building a lot of small corporate offices with small light manufacturing. They're we have a Starbucks.
Jersey Mike.
Important things, Jersey Mike's. We have a Courtyard Marriott that they just put there. But the latest thing, and I actually have been pushing on this for years, I want them to put a high-end outlet mall over there, so that we're not in direct competition with Cerritos or Lakewood. And guess what? The developer likes the idea, and they are working with somebody right now. So we're hopeful that they will go there, because they might, for the reason you just mentioned, across the street where the big hangars are.
It looks like they're tearing the hangar down and panicking.
No, they're tearing some down, but they're taking most of the modular buildings out. But they have to leave the signage up there. And what it is, Mercedes-Benz of Germany has leased 100,000 square feet, the largest single lease of any kind of property in the United States. Now, what they're going to do is they're building their Western region headquarters. And they're going to do a couple of things. When the Mercedes come off the ships in Long Beach, they will take them to this facility, and that's where they will do all the tune-ups, touch-up, getting ready to take them out to the showrooms. They are also going to build a classic Mercedes showroom of cars starting as, I think, the early 1900s.
Like a museum.
A museum. So that, and many people collect them apparently, so if you have a problem and you want to restore it, you can bring it to them and it will be done there, but you can see this museum. So we think what's going to happen, that will drive the need for something like a high-end outlet mall, because as people come to drop off their Mercedes, they're going to want to go do something they can't do other places. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Yeah, no, they're there, and I met with them repeatedly, and they seem like they really are a good focus for Long Beach. They are just thrilled, because the market is starting to turn around and people understand how wonderful that location is. We are built out in Long Beach, folks. This is the last fully developable, industrial land. So we're keeping our fingers crossed it's going to come. Yes?
Are they ever gonna clean those palm trees, like when you get off the freeway at Studebaker and then turn right on Second?
The windstorm just did that 2 days ago, they're all down.
Yeah, right. You know where I'm talking, I mean,
That's Caltrans. That, because I hate to tell you that, and I know people go, well, every time they go,
no, it's just because when you enter the city,
that's Caltrans.
it's just
Anything coming
so
directly,
ugly.
anything coming directly off the freeway or near the freeway belongs to Caltrans. So the city can't touch it. Anything adjacent to a flood control belongs to the flood control district. I'm going through some machinations with some constituents who are very upset about Los Coyotes Diagonal because there's horrible bushes over there. We can't remove them. The flood control has to, so.
All those palm trees that are just big grass nests.
Yeah, and what's happening, the fronds are being knocked loose because of the wind. I will tell you too, if the city doesn't really trim palm trees because nobody has a cherry picker high enough, nobody has it, to get up that high.
Nobody wants to go in that chair.
Those queen palms should have never been planted.
Never.
We've got them in Eldorado Park Estates, and they're untouchable. We cannot, and the school district put them over by Helen Keller School as well. And those fronds come off and hit cars, but nobody can get access to them, and they don't want to cut the palm tree off.
Why don't they use helicopters?
Helicopter school.
Gerrie,
Gerrie,
how do you deal with this issue of, it's NIMBY, it's not my backyard, it's my department. How do we coordinate between the city of Long Beach and Caltrans, the city of Long Beach, the city of Los Angeles, the school districts, et cetera? And everybody says, oh, I can't touch this, I can't do that.
Well, part of what does happen and has to happen is if I get a complaint about something, then I send it to Public Works and I also CC it to the city manager. We have a city charter, and by law, I'm not really allowed to direct the city department to do anything, because that has to go through the city manager, and you won't want it that way, because otherwise you get political cronyism, and you get control of services that really, it depends on who's in power, not why they're needed. So I know that when we get it, we kind of up the chain, or we call my office, we call Connie Zibel in Don Canabi's office, and we get a lot of cooperation out of her. We had someone called me the other day about foster care payments. We have nothing to do with, and so we called Connie and they got removed in her foster care payments. So we can coordinate, but sometimes the easy answer is to say, it's not my job.
Is the city manager an elected position?
No, he is hired by 5 members of the city council, and I won't go on any
His compensation.
His pay rate, by the way, is about $235,000.
Holy crap.
Well, our city attorney gets paid $254,000.
I told you we were talking about more.
And when Bob Shannon retired,
Yeah.
would you like to know what his retirement is?
No,
Oh,
actually, that made us sick.
It's $210,000 a year.
What? I'm in the wrong business.
Well, because he had worked in the city of Long Beach for 40 years.
Yeah,
He's at
40 years.
2.7% of his final salary, and times 40, he's up there, so.
How can, as citizens, how can we have an impact on the city council's hiring process of the city manager?
That's a tough question, because you gotta get to the majority of the council to have that impact. And because the charter says quite clearly that that's one of our very unique powers that we have that others don't have. I would just say you've gotta make your issues known to the city council.
Can you give us in the process of the campaign a transparency on how that happens so that the citizens know how we can have an impact?
Well, it only happens when the position is open. And he right now is going to be there. I will tell you, it's going to come to a head a little bit because, and this is really bad lack of transparency. We went through a budget process and we had community budget meetings and citizens would say, hey, we heard someplace you guys are getting ready to give management an increase, 15% increase. Oh, no, we're negotiating, we're still in negotiations, and I will tell you quite honestly, it was bullshit. They had already finished the negotiations, the tentative agreements were already signed by the other side, if you know collective bargaining. The other side had already TAB agreement, which there was no negotiation. They had already told management, and they had already voted to give the city manager a 15% increase. I voted against it.
Oh, wait a minute, I got a 15% increase and everybody else here is here?
Sorry, no.
So, That's gonna come to a head because they've got to bring it to the council because you have to do a public vote on it. And that's when this thing's gonna come to a head about who's getting what their salaries are, because you all, at that point, thank God, have the right to hear what is going on.
I'll be looking on the blog to see when
Yeah,
that's
we don't wanna be involved.
Yeah, I don't know, the other thing, quite quickly, you need to keep an eye on, I think it's coming up this week, this mayor would like to sell City Hall, the highest bidder. And
Get rid of that building.
he would like to sell City Hall, there's nothing wrong with that building was built a year before I got there. And
Renovated.
it just needs to be renovated, they refuse, you will see some figures being floated around. Very quickly, bear with me on this, when this first came up, we had a city public works director who gave a memo on what needed to be done with City Hall, what needed to be done with the downtown library. And she gave all kinds of scenarios. They could be fixed, or you could raise them, whatever, fixed. The day that she came out with that memo that showed us that you didn't have to tear these buildings down, they took her out as director of public works. They put her over in a temporary position of the airport. She wound up leaving, she is the director of public works in Santa Barbara. The same moment they did that, she was named the most outstanding public works director in the United States.
What year was that?
This would be 2009?
That's like last week.
So let me tell you what happened then, because what was going on is that the mayor had announced that he wanted to get rid of the downtown library, he wants to get rid of City Hall, they want to sell off the property because they want to build a century city down there. So what they came back and said, oh my God, look at the earthquake, it's terrible, we're going to lose this building. Let me tell you quickly on that. FEMA did not mandate the city of Long Beach to retrofit or even do anything. They use FEMA guidelines, which by the way are now updated, and it's for essential buildings. City Hall is not an essential building. Hospitals and schools are essential. City Hall is not. When I asked one day, I said, how many people are in City Hall? Do you have any guess? 14 stories. Want to guess how many people are in City Hall?
946.
758.
Wow.
That's a lot of space for 758 people, okay? So,
Some community rooms.
Is there a seismic retrofit there?
well, here there is. They do need to do some seismic retrofit, but instead of saying, all right,
Tear it down, yeah.
let's look at how we retrofit. City of Pasadena totally retrofitted their 1926 City Hall.
Yeah.
City of Los Angeles totally retrofit their 1930-something City Hall. It can be retrofit at a fraction of the cost, what it will cost to take that building down and build a new one.
And you need new drapes.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, in the city council chamber.
I know, but here's, well, we got new drapes and we got a new railing because they filmed Star Trek there a couple years ago and came in and made those repairs. Quickly though, watch the agenda item, because what they did was they sent out a request for qualifications. Now that is back passwords. You send out a request for proposals first, and then you go for the qualifications. They never put out what it is that they wanted people to do. Oh wait, they did. They put in the request for qualifications. No retrofit for earthquake? None. But to take down the City Hall and to take down the main library and make it half the size that it is right now. And when I asked, where in the world did you get the figure to take it in half? We never voted on it. Well, management had worked it up when they were trying to do a bond issue, and that's what had happened. But you all never approved it. So they have now picked management has picked 4 firms to do this massive, what they want to do is what they did over at the courthouse across the street. They want to do a private-public partnership. And the chief legislative office has come out and said that courthouse across the street is costing taxpayers $160 million more than it would have if had the government just built it. When you do a private-public partnership, somebody's making money. And so we don't owe any money on this building. We do maintenance, but we don't owe money on the building. What they want to do is give it to somebody, tear it down, build a brand new structure, and then we'll lease it back for 38 years.
No.
Okay?
Let's take 2 more questions.
So, I think that should be put on the ballot. I think, because you know why, folks? 5 council members are off the council this year. We're gone. They're either running for something.
All the
It's probably a good thing.
Well, it is a good thing. Well, unless you can get some good people. There's some districts nobody is really stepping up. But what I'm saying is, why would you let a council that's not going to be here next year embark on such a major project? Ask the voters if they think it's okay. When the new council comes in, if it's okay, do it.
Let's take a couple more questions.
Why is it that they're building, down in Balance Shore where I live, the Olympic pool, they're not retrofitting the building, they're building?
Oh, no, let me explain that. No, they are, because they need, that's a temporary pool so that we can continue to have swim meets. We're gonna lose a lot of national swim meets if we don't have a temporary pool. They did that for the Olympics, because I always, my wonderful Long Beach, when it built the Olympic pool, by the way, did you know they built it too short? So they never could have Olympic trials inside, because it's too short. Or they call it the Belmont Olympic Pool.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they're gonna put.
Are they gonna fix that?
Yeah, they're putting a temporary one out there, and then they're gonna take down the other structure and build a permanent one.
With the right length?
So they're gonna take down the entire complex.
If you're mayor, you're
Well,
gonna
they have
work.
to, I'll swim it.
Margaritas and said, let's go.
Oh, I don't know.
That's right. Okay, one more question, please. Anyone?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Well,
Yes.
I have one. I live downtown
Uh-huh,
and parking and traffic is a really bad
Right.
issue. And we're about to have the Shoreline Gateway, I think that's project where they're building
Yep.
2 high-rise apartment and according to the downtown plan, the parking is one space per unit. Doesn't matter how many cars are owned by the people that are staying in that, in
and
that
I voted
unit.
against that plan, and my opponents did not. Both Suja and Robert think it's a great idea to have really a lot of density in the downtown area. They obliterated the parking requirements, and what's really dangerous about that downtown plan is none of the developers now ever have to come back to council for approval of anything, as long as the planning department thinks that they fit in the downtown plan. And that was part, there is no senior housing provided in there, there is no affordable housing provided at all. And the worst part is that, people who live there are gonna find it unbearable because you're not gonna be able
It's
to.
already unbearable.
Well, but it's even gonna be worse.
Yeah.
And the big project over at Alameda Street, that's still on the drawing board. There are a lot of plans, and the sad part right now is there's still a lot of vacancies in all of this building. So it's kind of crazy right now that you're seeing more building down there, but no, and I objected, I asked about the fact, why aren't we don't have any senior housing, we don't have any affordable housing in the plan, why would you do that? That means you're excluding an entire class of people out of your downtown area, which is, I think, what the intent was.
Yeah, exactly.
They want young, creative, what they call the creative class, to move in the downtown area, who have a lot of dispensable income, and that's what they said over and over again.
We want to thank you very much.
I have to say, it was one of the most informative.
You
I've
are,
been into,
you know your
like,
shit.
a professional, my God. Welcome to the debate. Folks, we have mouse pads for Yes We Can that we're going to have opportunity drawings for, okay, in addition to the cash. So if you will buy some tickets here, we would appreciate it. This supports the efforts of the Yes We Can. That's our opportunity drawing. It's a $1 ticket or 6 tickets for $5.
These tickets were created by our Webmeister, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Okay.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
How much are they doing?
$5, $1.
Hey, see you. Oh, gosh, you're stuck. Sorry, I haven't got my water ready.
Can I
borrow money from you last month?
No, I don't know, don't worry about it.
No, it's really good to have hands.
I just did it all. I just did it all.
More than ours down through every our country.
She was so, I learned so much. I mean, I can't believe the knowledge.
Oh, I'm a nurse practitioner.
How are you?